All right, let's go check out our duplex renovation that we just wrapped up about a month or two ago. So I finally got some time to organize the photos. Let's go over the before folder first, shall we? So here, as you can see, he was doing some trim work. Um, Pretty much a good amount of the baseboards were from original condition, so we replaced those. Leo did a bang up job there. The windows, as you can see, they kind of look janky. So we updated the trim work, painted, recaulked everything. Let me see. As you can see here, now it's starting to see the rougher stuff. So, oh, that's an after photo. So basically, let me see if I could advance us to the section about the tile work. Here's one piece of tile that actually looked the best condition out of all of it. But let me go to the part where, here it is. So it ended up that if you just kind of nudged at the tile that the previous owner installed, that it basically kind of, with not that much force, was able to be pulled off, and this was behind it. So no new code items at all, no concrete panels. It was actually tile on top of other tile. And it had some green board, but not all the way up. So it was a mess. But let's go back to the beginning here. So got the tub cleaned up again and reglazed. There seems to also be another after picture. The kitchen cabinets. We also got the entry door. And this is for one of the units, by the way. So the other unit, we did do some work, but I didn't take that many pictures. But it was in a lot better condition. The tenants took care of it a lot better than these tenants took care of theirs. And the tenants on the front side were also a lot more reasonable to work with. And in terms of having owned this for a few years, there were actually a few occasions where the tenant that would live there would actually antagonize the contractor for coming a little bit late, like at 6 p.m. or whatever. But he had a job, and I explained that to her, but she was still being unreasonable. But nevertheless, once she vacated, we got to moving along on the repairs here. This is what it looked like before. So obviously, just about, actually I could find a worse picture for y'all. Yeah, okay, so the kitchen here. So just about no cleaning at all was done while she stayed there. This is kind of what they lived like. And so this is also the property, if you recall, about 2 months ago that I made a video on, that when I purchased the property, I offered, hey, what's important to you? What could we address? And it was just kind of crickets. And so we kept on with other projects, and we just addressed what was critical to us, like electrical work, maybe a few plumbing items here and there, like a stove also I think we handled. And then we just kept on moving to the next project. So if she wanted some items addressed, it could have been done along the way, but instead it ended up being to where in the last year she was starting to get resentment about, like, everything's not in great condition. And I'm like, I gave you a shot, and like, if I do this now, first of all, I have to plan for that, because I'm not printing money off of trees, but I also need you to, like, accept that the rent needs to be increased too, right? So she wasn't trying to hear either one of those, and so we just ended up parting ways. Let me see, go back here. I think we covered that already. So this is more like an after photo too, and that's more of an after photo too. So he was kind of in the middle of painting the cabinets. This is more cleanup that was done with Leo and Evelyn. We got rid of those appliances too. And as a part of that, we actually noticed that the electrical circuit for that stove was a 30 amp. And so the latest and greatest code is 50 amp. So we went ahead and upgraded that circuit. When he was pulling drywall from the bathroom area, where the tile work and the ceiling area there. He actually noticed there was a bag of chips hanging above the ceiling in the drywall. So wonderful work there. Really a bang up contractor, whoever did that. So that's the before. All right. So we're going to go over the after pictures, and we'll also wrap up with the actual video afterwards too, which is a really cool story about the tenants we were able to bring in there. So make sure to stick around to the end for that. So this is what the tile work looks like now. Freaking gorgeous, doesn't it? Of course, Leo loves his little storage cubbies in the shower, so he had to put one in. He found that black pattern, black and gray pattern at a discount at Floor and Decor. Some of the leftover tile he went ahead and put by the entrance door that had some janky older wood, so we went ahead and put that there and put a little downward slope on there. This is a before picture. This is an after picture here. So you can see we added paint, went ahead and added burglar bars too. And so you might be wondering here, why is there burglar bars, Ivan? So what I noticed over time, and we actually had a situation occur while it was vacant, because it was vacant like probably 4 to 6 months or something, because we had other projects that were just a bigger priority. But what we noticed over time is that there's actually a pretty big space in the backyard, and there's a property, another 3 duplexes kind of adjacent. So what people would do is cut across the backyard to get to essentially in the direction of the supermarket or the gas station a lot faster if they wanted to walk there. And so that ended up becoming a situation, because about 3 months into us owning or having the vacancy, the unit in the front noticed some noise was rattling in the back. So some dude that happened to be walking around decided to boldly kick the window in for the bathroom and just assess what he could rob. Luckily, the tenant in the front had some gall about him and just rapidly went in there. I gave him the lockbox code from before, just for helping me out with some things and just kind of keeping an eye on stuff. And he also helped with a little bit of work. But anyways, confronted the guy going in there and said, "What are you doing here, man?" And the thief, or would-be thief, because he didn't really take anything except from a broken glass that we had to pay for, right? But this guy confronted him, and the thief, out of all the things to say, said, "What's it to you, man? I'm just trying to get something here." And the tenant was like, "Man, get your ass out." Oh, man. I know I shouldn't be profane. I shouldn't be saying. But that's essentially what went down. Like, told him, just get out of here. And cops were called. By that time, the guy was gone. And so we were like, okay, here's how we can mitigate this. I just add some burglar bars. Luckily, I was able to find like a pack of like 12 for like $60 on Facebook Marketplace. So we got that taken care of, just in case anybody else feels entitled to some random items in a vacant unit. Before that, we never had any issues reported of that. I think it was mainly because some guy was noticing, oh, this is vacant, so let's take advantage of that. So that's something to keep in mind if you ever have vacant property in the future. Try to secure it as best you can. We also went ahead and added some cameras. Here you can see other trim work that was added. And now we get to the real deal stuff in the interior. So you can see it's all brand spanking new. Even the trim work on the windows, baseboards. That window is actually new right there. Let me see. More trim work done. Well, oh yeah, the bedroom doors are new. Back to tile work being new there. This was also made new too, the trim work for the outside. the slats over there by the windows on the exterior, and this is what it looks like in the kitchen. So we got all new stainless steel appliances. That stove exhaust fan there above the stove, that also was not really cleanly installed before. They had to use a extension cord. After we actually made the opening to the outside, we didn't consider, oh, there's actually no outlet here, so we added an outlet nearby there. So it's behind that stove there. So what else? This is the living room. And also we put these coverings on the windows just so if a would-be thief wants to swing back around again, at least it's covered, so they can't easily see inside now too to see if it's vacant. Oh yeah, ceiling fixtures. So right there in the living room, you could see that the ceiling fixtures all throughout the unit were replaced. Oh, we only got a picture of that one good there. More of the exterior. So this is another great thing of the property, is that it's cement block, so it lasts forever. So this must be during construction pictures, and that's pretty much it. So we did quite a bit of work here, and let's go ahead and go through the video. This is the walkthrough of after the tenants were moving in, or the first day I met them in person, because every time it was handled over the phone for the most part with my assistant and I. There you can see the ceiling fixture being new there. So this is the secondary bedroom. Oh, we also added no trespassing signs to the backyard, by the way. So if we did need to call somebody, like call the cops on somebody just walking back there again, it would be easy to qualify as valid, right? Because there's a clear sign saying you can't just be walking around here. Here they are turning on the water. They were able to turn it on at the street by getting one of those special keys for the street meter from a neighbor, because apparently the water company, even though it was active that day, they left it off until they knew for sure there was no issues inside. So that's pretty much it, I believe. Yep. So here is where it ends. So the property across the way, it's been recently renovated too. So that was like maybe a year and a half into us owning ours. Eventually we'll redo this driveway, but right now it's not a big priority. And so that's the video. So about the tenants, without sharing too much private data, I'll try to keep it high level. But they lived nearby, and they were kind of in a roommate scenario. And so for a price of $690 per month, they were able to get their own place, two brothers, and spend quality time in a quality apartment. Previously, the previous person I was telling you about, because we didn't do any updates, they were at $475 a month. And I was, again, very frank with them. If you want us to do higher end finishes, quality renovation, you have to accept a higher commensurate rent. And so some people are not going to be okay with that sort of reality. and that's okay. Sometimes you have to part ways and move on. That's just a part of business. Sometimes it's not a popularity contest, and that's pretty much it. This was a pretty cool renovation. I spent some time there towards the end, actually on this day where I was recording this video, to install some solar lights. So that's another little tip. If you want to install some security lights, you could buy like a pack of 6 for like $60 on Amazon, and you don't have to pay for any electrician to run cables, to install new circuits potentially, depending on the power and where they're all going. Maybe even in 2 different panels in this case, because it's 2 units. So we're talking about a savings of probably, I don't know, $700 to $900 if I had gotten an electrician to do all of it, running cables. So solar lights work. They work for several years, and so if you have any questions about the renovation, around management, just general advice, I'd love to give it to you. This property is in Columbus, Georgia, and it's about 9 minutes from downtown, so it's pretty highly sought after. One last thing I will say. This market is not as in tune to systems like Zillow as we're used to here in Atlanta, or even just a single point of advertising for rental properties. So what does that mean? That means we had to go the traditional route to help us get more marketing, get more conversations around the unit going. So we actually added a for rent sign up in the front yard. So sometimes, depending on the market, you may not be able to use the same marketing avenues that you're used to. All right. Catch you next video.